What's up, everybody? Welcome to Hammerdown Motorsports. My name is Steve Fast, and I hope you guys are having an amazing day. In the shop today, it is a little bit warm. We do have nice sun outside, so I'm not going to complain about that whatsoever. Better than rain, because we have had a lot of rain, and that's just kind of how it is in Rainsylvania. But over here, we have the Camaro inside, and we have the Porsche. We haven't had this on the channel for a while. I decided to get it out of the other shop. We got it in this shop. It's all inspected, ready to go, so we can go rip this car whenever. And it's actually been really fun to drive. I kind of miss driving this car. It's a totally different experience, and maybe we're gonna have some more content on this. Drop in the comments if you guys want to see anything more with the Porsche. And over here, we have been hard at work trying to get stuff done on the Ram project. We have fender flares over here. I've got body work going on in Bay 2. I've got stuff pretty well everywhere. But as you can see, we do have our 37s on in the front, and it does look like we're gonna have enough wheel gap. I do have the lift down, so basically this is pretty much our height. As you can see, the back is actually lower than it's gonna be by quite a bit, because I kind of wanted to just load up the front and make sure everything settles in place and we kind of know where everything's gonna be. But we do have our Hummer H2 wheels and the Dodge center caps, and I think they look pretty awesome together. Have a little look in the wheel well. We got our zone lift. We got these giant springs. These springs, compared to the original ones, weigh probably what, twice as much, and they're definitely a lot more substantial. I did end up putting in new sway bar links. These are Moog. I got the polyurethane red bushings. I also got the sway bar bushings as well, so everything looks really nice with the red and black. We've got our winch set up over here. Not a lot of progress lately. I still got to cut the corners on this, get this all pulled out, get it trimmed down so we can get our bumper back in place and kind of see where the fair leads and everything's going to go in the front. So just to kind of give you an idea of how high this truck is, I'm about 6 feet tall, maybe a little bit more, and the fender basically is up to my shoulder. So yeah, it is definitely a big difference from what it was before. The mirror height is basically at my head, so that's pretty much where I want to be on the lift height. I mean, you definitely know it's lifted. It's not too crazy where you have to run like 45-inch tires, which would be cool, but I mean, for $1,000 for the lift, I think this is pretty awesome. So we do have the Zone lift kit. It's actually, the parent company is BDS, Sport Truck USA, Fox, all that kind of good stuff. So it is a made in USA, pretty quality kit. So over here we have our Adaleaf installed, and there was one thing I did run into with this, and I had to call Zone just to kind of be sure of what's going on with this whole assembly process. And they do include these, because on the factory ones, there's actually a like little kind of metal C-clip thing that goes over here. I can show you on the other side, which I haven't done this side yet. We have these right here, and it doesn't say anything in the instructions about removing these or leaving them on or anything like that. There's a rivet on the bottom that you're gonna have to grind off, get this removed, and then you can take the pack completely apart and then get your Adaleaf is gonna go actually on top of this one right here, then put the whole thing back together and then use the supplied clamps. But I mean, none of that stuff is in the instructions, so just so if you were wondering, that's what you have to do with this. So here we have a closer look at the front end, and as you can see, everything's looking really nice. We've got our custom touch over here on our stabilizer shock. That's all brand new. We have our drop pitman arm. We have our drop for our track bar as well. Keep everything as close to where the factory had it, just so we can get that lift and keep everything where it's supposed to be, so we have nice steering when we go down the road. We don't have any death wobble or anything like that. So once this thing's all aligned, we can take it down, test it out, and make sure that everything works correctly. So over here we have our new control arms. These are a whole lot more heavy duty than the factory ones. One word of advice, if you are putting a lift in one of these trucks, definitely order your lower cam bolts. Both sides were rusted, and I ended up snapping them off with my impact and having to pound them out. And that did take a little bit of time, but something you're gonna have to keep in mind if you're ordering a lift for one of these second-gen Dodges. And then over here we have our typical vacuum disconnect for our axle, just so if you're driving down the highway, then your tires can turn without turning the drive shaft when you're in two-wheel drive. We are going to be eliminating this because if you get into any kind of mud or anything like that, these do have a tendency to move around or get ripped off or leak. A lot of times they leak up over here by the transfer case, but what we're going to do, we're actually going to take this off, and I'm going to make sure that that fork stays in the four-wheel drive position. We're going to take off the actuator pot and all that kind of thing, and we're just going to lock that fork into place because I don't really care if the drive shaft here is turning all the time. I just don't want to be going down the trail, have this thing full of mud, end up with a vacuum leak, and then lose four-wheel drive when I need it the most. So really all that's left to do up here is just to get our brake lines in place. We've got the brackets right here. I just wanted to grease these before I ended up closing that off. It's basically this bracket kind of covers that. I want to get grease in all of these joints, make sure everything is nicely done up like that so we don't have any squeaks or rattles. And then when you do go in the real deep mud and you have everything buried, you can just push some grease in here and it'll end up pushing any water or anything like that. Well, that will corrode in there over time. But all in all, she's a good old truck, especially for being a truck that was pretty much bound for the junkyard. We do have this giant muffler, which also will be removed. I've already got it cut over here. I just kind of got to get it the rest of the way. And then we probably will be reusing the tailpipe and just getting a muffler that's a whole lot smaller. As you can see from here to here is how big this muffler really is. And these V10s, they don't really sound all that good unless you put a decent exhaust on them. So we're gonna do a little experimenting with that, see if we can get a nice sound out of this engine. So the prep work on the box is pretty well done. I got a little bit of rust to weld up on the other side. The cab still needs to be prepped, and we need to actually address some cab corner issues. Over here, I was actually just kind of pushing on this little bubble. I can hear cracking. You can hear that right there. There's actually a soft spot. So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna grind this down. We're gonna find where the rust is. We're gonna cut it out. I do have another cab corner for this side. And for the other side, which you can see is pretty bad. So all this is gonna get cut out. We're gonna weld a new piece in, and this is gonna look like brand new when we're done. And then we're gonna shoot it all with the box liner, the Raptor liner paint job. And this truck's gonna be looking pretty sweet. So there you have it, everybody, a little shop update, what we've been up to. I'm not really going step by step with this build. If you guys have any questions, definitely drop them in the comments section. I'm just kind of hard at work on this thing, and when you film stuff, it takes twice as long to end up getting it done. And a lot of times the videos on this kind of stuff kind of get lost in the algorithms. So you guys know what's going on over here. I'm kind of showing you as much as I need to and different things that I ran into that you might want to know when you're doing a lift on one of these trucks. But basically, we're just gonna do a lot of videos and footage and stuff on playing with this truck rather than just doing the whole lengthy DIY build. As you guys know, this is not a DIY channel. This is whatever I pretty much want to put out channel. I mean, I definitely do show you guys how to do stuff, but that's not our focus over here. It's basically just a day in the life of what I'm doing and what we're doing in the shop and just kind of builds that we have and things that I run into that I think that maybe nobody really knows about unless you've actually done the job, and stuff that I can share with you guys that way. So if you guys enjoyed the video, don't forget to give it a big thumbs up. If you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button, drop your comments in the comments section, and as always, keep that hammer down.